to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. I am so excited to share with you that my guest today is Susan Lizan-Immerman. Susan is a seasoned veteran businesswoman, and you know I'm already doing my happy dance, don't you? She is the founder and CEO of MDesign Home Decor, a home organization company that provides practical, elevated storage solutions. They even have a collaboration with Nate Berkus as part of their line. She is a 25-plus year veteran of the garment industry, starting in that industry well before it was common for women to be in that industry, let alone leaders in that industry. Now, before diving in, I want to take a moment to remind you about our upcoming session of LuAnn University. With 2024 here, now, we're there, you've probably been putting a lot of thought into your business goals and what you need to do in order to reach those goals. And I would like to help you. Maybe you've realized that your business foundations could use some reinforcement, but what's the next step? Do you do it yourself, spending time and money and resources researching, using trial and error to figure out what works or doesn't? Or do you cut to the chase and lean on me and my 4 decades of experience with targeted advice so that you can get to going and doing the things right now, right? Your time is valuable. You don't have to recreate the wheel. Join me January 10th so we can work on your well-designed business together, setting you up for success in 2024. My brand new intensive is a 4-hour, it's called The Making of a Well-Designed Business, the workshop. And in this 4-hour intensive, we will cover those foundational areas, the things that are probably the things that you skipped, and now you're wondering why things aren't working. I promise you, I've had a lot of conversations, and these are the things you've got to do. So go to LuAnnUniversity.com, and I will see you on January 10th. All right, let's hear what Susan has to say about growing your business, the value of mentorship and networking, and how to cultivate a true CEO mindset. Hi, Susan. Thanks so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today.
Thank you so much, LuAnn. It's wonderful talking to you as well.
So my longtime listeners, Susan, know as soon as I say this next sentence, they're like, oh, LuAnn's in her happy spot. I love every interview I do, but I especially love interviews with seasoned professionals, with seasoned business owners and seasoned, any level of being able to bring that perspective of multiple decades of experience to a conversation. I find it so fascinating to have you share your expertise and your hindsights based on such a body of experience. So we're going to start here with this. Talking about the many years that you have been a business professional, take me back. Like, it's not only what it is to show up in the world and have the pressures and have all the things, but to have done it back in the day, like I'm not going to say what day. I don't really know what year or what day. You reveal it if you want. But as a woman, I mean, it's just different. I know that it is just different, but I love to get the perspective of what it was like for you when you think back coming into the various positions you've had. We've just gone through it in the intro, the different things that you've done, but talk to me a little bit about it, Susan.
Yeah, I would love to. Well, like you said, I'm seasoned. I mean, maybe over seasoned, but I'm seasoned. Yeah, I love to talk about like where I came from and where I am now, and it gives me a lot of pleasure to speak to young professionals, because my story could be their story today.
Mm,
But just to give you an idea, starting back in the day, I had a so I started out in the retail end of the business. Um, but then, wasn't really content there and, decided to start my own business. And when I did, I was a minority owner and really, wasn't very easy for a minority owner to go to the banks and ask for a lot of money.
mm.
Um, uh, but I was able to put some funds together and started my business. And it was not easy at first. I had a baby, I had responsibilities. And I remember the hardest thing was, going to work and then having my daughter like hold onto my leg, mommy,
Mm.
please don't go. So
Yeah.
you have to deal with payroll and a business and making sure that when you leave that your children are well taken care of. And to this day, I think it resonates with most young women who are starting a business. And even when you are in business, you're still facing those challenges of childcare and your kids going to college. And, I face those problems
Mm.
and I live through them, and everybody will be able to live through them. And I look back and it makes me a richer person
Right.
today. But there were those challenges, but it's wonderful to share this, what I've been through and, how I started it. You start small and then you say to yourself, okay, what's my next step? Who do I need in my corner to help me?
Mm.
And that's one of the big questions that's always asked of me. And you need great accountants and great attorneys,
Right.
that's for sure.
Right. Right. I call it assembling your dream team, right? Who are the people
Absolutely.
around that are supporting you and that you can go to for unbiased, straight talk, right? Like
Yes.
straighten
Yes.
me out or support me or stop me, do something, but don't just let me run like a barrel out of heck down the
Right.
track for no good reason, right?
Right. And honestly, a lot of people feel that I can do it myself.
Mm.
I can do it myself. And really don't. Um,
Right, just don't.
there's don't. I mean, there are ways to spread your energy and finding good people to support you, to help you. And it's amazing how you find these partnerships and how you find a way to interact with people that will catapult your business. Your attorney could tell you about 10 different people who may want to have a collaboration with you. You never really know where your next collaboration will be. And you find that out with the people that you associate with. A good PR firm, again, your accountants, your attorneys. They have a wealth of information and a wealth of contacts
Mm.
too.
When you first started, what was the first business that you started when you were young and had the baby and all the things?
Well, I started out at Saks Fifth Avenue in their executive training program. So, from a corporate standpoint, it was great. I mean, it taught you how to work in a corporate
Mm.
environment, but it was a bit restricting because I was very creative. So, after that, I really decided that I needed to do my own thing. So I started a rep company.
Mm.
And that company really brought a lot of lines from the West Coast to the East Coast and was called Susan Lizan Inc. And I really helped a lot of the manufacturers in the West Coast design their lines, which is really, what I excel in.
Mm.
But then after that, I decided that that was incredibly successful and I helped a lot of people. Now I'm going to go in business for myself. And that's what I did. And I was in the garment center for over 25 years in a women's apparel company. And we had a children's line, a designer line, a private label. There were probably 5 different divisions.
Wow.
And that was again back in the day. And I do remember giving birth and signing paychecks at the same time. Not, well, I don't want to say that. I was in labor and signing paychecks. That was before
Holy
Paycom.
crow.
So, but that's how it all started. And I have to tell you, it's each step that I made, it was telling myself, how do I feel comfortable being uncomfortable?
Mm.
And I think that's something that most business owners ask themselves. It's like, as soon as I start feeling uncomfortable, I have to submerge myself in that in order to feel comfortable, if you know what I mean.
Interesting. And so the thing about that is first of all, let's not gloss over you're in labor and signing checks. Like seriously, right? But the garment industry is also heavily male dominated.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what
No, it, it,
and
it,
we're
it, it
going back a
definitely,
couple of decades for you to
yes.
start a company in the garment district
Yep.
and have 5 verticals underneath. Like I just what it is my brain goes to you kind of just said it easy breezy, but that's a hot minute we have to sit on that.
Okay.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's a challenge. It's like, hey, here I am. I'm Gidget, and I'm gonna like come in here on the block with all these guys. And
Yeah.
not only do you do it, but you actually get it to the level that there's 5 different divisions underneath. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know, like did you face the situations where you're going into meetings and like to your point, like you're getting turned down for business loans because you're a woman and you're maybe not the same background as other people or whatever the obstacles were? Was
Right.
that a real thing or did things mostly fit and it just was hard being in business because business is hard?
Well, I mean, listen, I was lucky. I did find some funding, but initially it wasn't easy at all.
Mm,
It really wasn't easy at all. But I think I was. Listen, there's a lot of luck that goes
mm,
with all of this as well, and finding yourself at the right place at the right time, and putting yourself out there. I mean, I recall at Saks, I was so I was so lucky to find amazing mentors that loved my enthusiasm,
mm,
and they took me under their wing, which to this day, I mean, when I started my business, I had to get factored. So it's like, got to work with the banks and which bank is going to be fair and look out after me.
mm.
And there was a gentleman, his name was Danny Abramowitz. I tell you to this day, and he's probably not even alive at this point, but he believed in me so much. I think it was Citizens Bank or Nations Bank back in the day, and he stood behind my company. And I'm telling you, the guy said to me, and now this is going to age me also, but he said, "We think that you're going to be the next Liz Claiborne." And to
Whoa.
me, back in the day, it was like she was
Whoa.
just on a
Oh,
pedestal.
yeah.
So I had that backing from him and one of the largest banks. And again, it was unusual to have that kind of backing, but they really believed in me. So there you have that luck factor too. And
Well, but luck,
and
but you have to show
I know
something to get that.
we
Yeah,
did. No,
I
no,
mean,
we
yeah, right?
yes,
Like,
you're
yeah,
right. You're right,
yeah.
LuAnn. Come on, you're right. And I did. I mean, that they came in and saw the kind of business that we wrote.
Yeah.
They came in and saw the kind of clients that came in, and yes, I will pat myself on my back and my team at that time. We worked really
Mm.
hard, and they're not going to put their money behind somebody who's not going to do something.
Exactly.
So okay, all right. It's not all luck, but
Well, you know what I
but
say all the time, Susan, is you have to be prepared to get lucky. Right? You
yes,
prepare, you're
yes,
constantly preparing. You're doing all of the right things. You're making all of the best decisions you can at each moment that you can.
right,
And then all of a sudden something happens and what's funny is, what it reminds me of? Like, I always marvel. I don't watch American Idol and all that stuff, but back in the day when it was brand new, I
right,
don't know what season Carrie Underwood won, like, but that's how 100 years ago it was that I watched it a few times.
right. And I remember watching
Right?
that too.
And the thing is what I always the thing that just slammed me across the face when she won, I was just like, if there weren't this television show,
how would the world know about her?
I
Right?
know,
Like,
and
think about that. But she had to
it's
do
true.
all of the singing in the church and in the kitchen and all the, thing to get there to be on American Idol, right?
Yep, yep. And I think that that's a great thing to bring up because you need to have a platform,
Mm,
and that was certainly a platform for her and other people. But I think in everybody's business, it would be nice again to surround yourself with, for example, you have women in retail. I'm a member of Chief, which is bringing together senior executives, and women get together and they talk,
mm,
and there are great collaborations, and there are people from every industry
mm.
that you can think of, and it allows you to um, ask questions about certain things that your business may be stressed under at this point, and then it's great to have another ear. So it's important to have these, I don't want to call them platforms, but these organizations too that you can fall back
Right.
on, because they help you, they help strengthen yourself individually, and they help you find these wonderful collaborations. So there are platforms in your life like American Idol that will take you from one level that you never thought that you would be to a level that you can only dream of,
Right,
right?
right. And the thing is, what happens is when you avail yourself of the opportunities that platforms offered, and you also then are an active contributor. So I'm thinking about for the garden variety interior designer listening to us right now.
Right.
She's like, well, I really can't join Chief. I'm not a senior seasoned executive. But you know what? Like, if you join IDS, interior design
That's
site,
right.
right, and then you volunteer for membership chair, you're cultivating your leadership skills. You're cultivating all your organizational skills. You're cultivating an awareness of you as an industry leader. Like, there are ways to take that to the level where the first step is the first step, as opposed to you're describing your 10th step as being a member of Chief, right?
Absolutely. And I have to tell you, it can all start community based as
Yes,
well.
right.
I mean, you could you can be involved with
Your PTA, for crying out loud,
your
right?
thank you. For your PTA, anything that has to do, if there's a fundraiser, use yourself as part of the fundraiser, and it's part of your service to help decorate a kitchen,
Hmm.
help decorate a pantry, or whatever it is. Get your name out there in the community, and let me tell you, I mean, references speak tenfold, don't they?
Yes.
I mean, it's Emily's. What is it called? Is it Emily's
Yeah,
list?
Angie's List,
Uh,
right? Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Angie's
yeah, yeah.
list.
Yeah.
Angie's list. Tenfold, and and it's when you get these references. I mean, it speaks
Right.
volumes for your community and certainly helps you in your
Yeah,
business.
100%. There's opportunities. The idea is that you're opening our mind to that success is part of our DNA, our mindset, the way we think, the way we show up, the way we impress other people. Like you said, those
Right.
in corporate and Saks, the mentor saw the thing in you. But it's also consistently cultivating the people and the orbit around you, that one connection leads to another connection, one experience leads to a better skill set,
Correct.
right? Yeah.
And always remain open, and curious and inquisitive, and it definitely opens up such a variety of opportunities. We talked a little bit about making sure that you have a great team around you, your accountants, your attorneys. It that allows you to take that back office stuff and give it to the professionals, and then it allows you to then take what you do the best and get out there and promote yourself, and um, be a mentor to other women as
Mm.
well.
Let's do a few minutes on that mentoring. That's a it's a very, I was going to say slippery slope. That's not the word I want. It almost seems like it's elusive, like it's right through our fingers sometimes, because when we are quote unquote lucky and we fall into a mentor mentee relationship and we know it and we recognize it and both people are amenable to it, yay all day. But
Right.
cultivating it is often sometimes harder. It's harder for the mentee to feel like who they can and how do they reach out? And it's sometimes
Yeah.
hard for the mentor. Like when it happens organically, then, like my experience here, my husband and I owned a company for 40 years. We recently sold it to my son-in-law, my daughter, and a couple of other employees. And, organically, there's no question that we've mentored these people, right? There's no question that, side by side, year by year, that they are doing a better job now because of having worked with and by us for many years.
Right.
But that's easy. That's easy for me. It's easy for them. We have a shared thing. It's like when you had the mentor at Saks, your success reflects on her. But when people go outside of a relationship, it's tough because the one approach sort of feels like, well, how much time is this going to take? And the one that's
I know.
approaching is sort of like, what do I ask? I mean, any thoughts on that? Or do you just feel like the organic is the way to go? And when you recognize it, and if you're the one that you're recognizing the opportunity to mentor, be a good human, step up and do it. you know,
Well, of course, that's the best
right?
way, of course, and the organic way seems, the best approach. But, I think again,
Mm,
if you network, even if it's on LinkedIn, whatever your networking capabilities are, you can put that out
mhm,
there. I mean, I can put that out there, and I do, especially in the organizations that I belong to. It's like, listen, I've been around for a long time. I am open to mentor anybody. So, give me a call if I have the time. I it's no problem for me to sit down and discuss what I've been
mm,
through. Maybe I can help but it's organic, yes, but go out there and network. And again, you do have your accountants and your attorneys and your support group. Let them know. Let them know that, do they have a client who may be having some issues? Make yourself
mm.
available through your network
Yeah.
as well.
And I also do think it kind of starts with, if we start, right? If we mentor, then I just feel like it's a karma thing. Like it comes around,
I
right?
do too.
It comes around, it comes back.
No, I
Yeah.
do too. I do too. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
without a doubt, the whole karma thing,
Yeah, it's like
definitely.
I find in my life it's so interesting because, of course, through the podcast, there's many designers and window treatment professionals that I meet in person, one on one, and of course, a relationship develops somehow, some way, right? Whatever it is, they come to an event or they coach with me, whatever. But then there's other times when someone is a complete stranger and I'll get an email and I'll just look at it and I'll be like, you know what? I'm just going to pick up the phone and call this person. Yeah, and I spend
Absolutely.
an hour
Well,
or
but
whatever, and then what happens, Susan, is I find that, like, sometime in the next week or so, I something happens for me on my end where I'm like, "Wow,
yeah.
you just helped me." Like, it's just I feel like it's like it goes around in a circle, right?
And see, what you did is you just allowed yourself to do something that was not organic at all. It just
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
happened,
yeah,
right?
yeah. It's just it's interesting. Okay. So tell me now, let's switch and talk about MDesign. This
Okay.
is your latest greatest company.
Yes.
Like, so
Yes.
I mean the website is beyond incredible.
Thank you. Oh my God, I know. I love
Oh
it too.
no, it's
I
remarkable.
not only do I help create the product. I mean, listen, I have a wonderful design staff here, but I'm the biggest fan too. I mean, you should see my pantry. It is just wonderful.
Well,
It
I have to
really is.
tell you,
But
anybody who knows me at this stage of my life, listen, I had three stepchildren and one of our own. I raised the
right.
kids. I cooked all the foods. I wiped all the butts. I went to all the PTA things. I did all the things. My youngest is now going to be 35. And I literally,
Wow.
yes, and I literally
Well, I must tell you, I did see you on video, and you do not look like you have a 35-year-old. So there
Thank
you
you. I
go.
do, right? But the thing is, when I tell you at this point in my life and for the last probably 10 years, I cook one time a year. It's Christmas Eve. That is it.
Oh, how
I
nice. But
don't
that's
do any
wonderful.
of it. But when I was on your website, I was like, oh, I could have that in my kitchen. And I'm like, LuAnn, you don't even have anything in your kitchen. You don't even walk in
Doesn't
your
matter.
kitchen.
Then we've done our job on the website
You
then.
have, because I was like, oh, it's Christmas time. I could just order all this stuff for
That's so
myself.
funny. That's so funny. Really, really. Well, then we've done our job. Well, let me tell you a little bit about
Yes.
MDesign because this is so exciting. But I mean, even prior to that, I had my business, in New York, and that was wonderful for 25 years. And then moved on to a company called Lee and Fung, very, very big company, and I was there for a while. And then I just decided I was in the apparel business really for most of my adult life. But going into home is just amazing. And this started back in 2015. It's fulfilling for me. I love designing, because when you're doing this type of product for the home, all right, you also have a sense of design aesthetic for an entire house. So how do I make my product work with different types of interior design, mid-century modern? How do I make sure that my product fits within the category or the design category that each designer is really, when you're working with individual clients, you have to work around their aesthetic, right? So what I've tried to do is to make sure that my aesthetic blends in with and is solutions based. So when a designer is working with it, if somebody is doing a pantry or somebody is doing a craft room, that my product really is there to serve a solution and an aesthetic as well.
Well, really, all I have to say is when you make somebody want to start to fill a cart with
There you go.
home products that doesn't give a rip about what happens in her cabinets, it's incredible. And so I can imagine how desirable this would be for interior designers, because what I'm getting from it is that there's a quality. Like an interior designer is, like, to your point, they're designing the home with an aesthetic. They have a mission to complete, which is to make it beautiful, make it functional, make it leveled up. And what your products are doing is making all those utility spaces feel like and be at that same level of aesthetic. You
Correct.
see, that's what I saw. I was like, wow.
Yeah, and you're right, and I'm so glad you felt that, because that is exactly what we're trying to get through to the people who come to the site as well. But each designer, of course, when they're working with a client, they're trying their best, again, like we talked about the aesthetic. But what our product does, and it helps the designer as well, is it's solutions based. We have these bins, and it's aesthetically pleasing to have your pantry organized, and to have a product that enhances that space, yet doesn't take over, let's say, the wood that the pantry is made in. So it really requires a lot of work to be, I don't want to say transparent, but trying to find the best word to say.
It's beautiful without being noticeable, I think, right?
Thank you. That's it. I think that's it. Thank you. You definitely hit the nail on the head. It is.
Yes. I mean, it's just like that. It's like, oh, I can see everything. It feels great. It still feels elevated, still feels beautiful, but it's not, like, I don't know. Let's talk about, like, I can't think of something silly off the top of my head, but like checkerboard design. Like, okay, every canister is checkerboards. Well, like, maybe I don't like checkerboards. You know what I'm saying? Like, this just
or it'll give you a gigantic headache. What we're trying to do is to make a space with the aesthetic that the customer has, but functional and beautiful, without it taking over the intended design that it was
Yeah, it's a
supposed to be.
supporting
That the
character.
client,
It's a
it's
supporting
a supporting
character,
character.
but at a
Yes.
level. That's the thing. It's like I don't feel like I'm
Yep.
looking at your typical box store storage solutions. Right,
Correct.
exactly. There's just some
Yeah.
beauty involved here, which a designer is going to relate to and appreciate.
Right. And just to take that one step further, we work with we have a pro insider program that we have, and we work with all of these um, wonderful pros that go into a home, and they go room by room, and they help organize. These are pro organizers, and all of these women may have been attorneys at one point, or very, very high profile in the financial area, and decided, I don't want to do this anymore for one reason or another. And they have opened up their own company. Now, we are a proud sponsor of the National Association for Professional Organizers, and there are 4,000
Wow.
of them. And most of these women have come from very high powered positions now to open up their own business, and they are incredibly successful. So we work with them and help them in their businesses. That's where my mentorship
Mm.
comes in as well, too. Speaking of mentors, these every year we probably have 350 of them come to our home headquarters in Ohio. And it's an amazing experience, and we do whatever we can to help them and support them by giving them special inside discounts. And again, it's mentoring them, talking to them, and they see what I have built also, from um, my first job at Saks to now a CEO in a multi-million dollar business. So it's
And so
wonderful.
this program, this is if you are a professional organizer, you can apply to
Correct.
be part of the pro program. And what I noticed on the website is if I'm a consumer coming, you give me a roster of pros. And so I might look at all of this
That's
and think,
right.
this is great, but I don't know where to start. So you're connecting
That's
us
right.
with professional organizers that we can then hire outside of MDesign,
Correct.
but like,
Correct.
hey, make my place amazing, make my storage fabulous, and make, accessorize and categorize all of my things.
Correct. So it's not like saying, it's not overwhelming the customer, but like, here's all this stuff. Go
Yes.
measure it and have a good time. We are telling you there are 10 pro organizers in your community. It's up to you. You make the phone call. You decide, speak. Maybe you connect with one
Right.
more than another. They come in, they do your house, they get the products for you, and you sit back and you learn, number one, what to do and how to keep it organized. And of course, it's lovely that they buy my product, which is a wonderful product, and it lasts, and we're very proud of the integrity of the product. But it all works. Here we have somebody who's a pro organizer that we have mentored, who we have a closeness with. We've helped them with their business as well by saying, you're one of the 10 in this community. We're gonna do what we can to help promote
I
your
love it.
business. So we're promoting our business and their business, and the end result is that the customer
Right.
is happy.
And the cool thing about this is there are many interior designers that also have this skill set and then often function
Correct.
as this for this next level for their clients. So if a designer
Yep.
listening is like, hey, I'm an organizer, that's part of my deliverables, my ladder of services, they can look into this.
And listen, let's talk about scale.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This is another way to scale your business. I mean, you can have a smaller business, and then all of a sudden you can say to yourself, I don't know, I've been dealing with home. Maybe I'll go to
Mm.
commercial. And now maybe I'm going to add a professional organizing service along with the everyday architectural part
Right,
of
the
that
interior
business as
design
well.
part of it. Yep, yep,
Right,
yep,
right,
yep,
right, right,
absolutely.
right,
Because
right.
many have the skill set innately, and then it's just a matter of leaning into it and expressing it as a ladder of service.
Correct. And also being able to
Right.
grow your business. maybe bring on a division, and now, this pro-organizing division of your well-established
Right.
business already. So again, it's a way to scale and do it, with a
Right.
company like
I love it.
myself.
I love it. Now, the other thing I wanted to ask you about MDesign is this collaboration with Nate Berkus.
Mhm,
you know,
mhm. Yes.
beloved. I interviewed Nate for the show. Delightful human.
Uh-huh.
And tell us about that collaboration from the business inside part of it. Was that? Like I often wonder with a company as large as yours and the track record that you have, is that like you pick up the phone and call Nate and say, "Hey, how about this?" And then others work it out? Or somebody on your team is like, "Let's get a celebrity designer. Who's on our wish list?" Like, how does like chicken or the egg, right?
Right. Well, I think, we have a really, really good PR firm. What they do is they come to me and they basically tell me about opportunities that may come my
Okay.
way. And then it's really up to us to decide if this is something that is a good fit. And that's really how this came about. Was through one of our PR firm. Again, it is. It's allowing yourself, again, the opportunity to let people know that you're open for opportunities. And I certainly, our reputation
Mm,
is there as well, as a very reliable and a very good company to be in
right, right.
collaboration with.
And then what happens is, so he's got this collection within M Design. And then,
Hmm.
it's funny because I've had conversations with designers that have done collections with, say, Cravat or whatever. And it often starts with a let's like as the designer responsibility. So his responsibility in this is understanding your demographic and your target client and then figuring out what is going to be the thing. And but the thing is Nate is also Nate. So like it says, Nate Burgess delivers his signature style with the launch with M Design, right? So
Right.
is it that beforehand it's going to mesh, or is there some back and forth of like not a lot of that and add a little this, like just like some of that backstory?
No, I think, yeah, absolutely. There was a lot of back and forth, and there has to be a comfort level. I mean, the one thing that's great about M Design is that many classifications that are done, and it's all done under one roof. A lot of times when you have a license agreement, there are certain people that only do certain aspects of the collection, and then they move to other people. Um, it requires a lot more work because it's from one company to another company to another company. Everything was done under one roof,
Mm.
so from a consistency basis, it's certainly much better. Everything is done with the same look, the same eye. It's a lot more consistent. So yeah, I believe that that's probably what makes this successful, is that it's all under
I
one
mean,
umbrella.
it's streamlined. The whole process, back end process and
Correct.
marketing is all streamlined. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. And his
Correct.
collection includes a lot of the soft goods, the bedding and all of that stuff, as
Yes.
opposed to simply organizational. He's got the quilts and the throw pillows and the sheets and the duvets and all the things. Yeah. Beautiful.
Correct. Correct. And it's all with one
Right.
aesthetic too. We did a pantry line as well, and it all has that same
Hmm.
appeal. And you're not kind of working with lots of different companies. Of course, it's one aesthetic, and you do try your best um, to make sure that each company that you work with, that the brand resonates throughout that. When it's under one roof, it
Right,
makes it a lot
right, right,
easier.
right. So interesting. It's so interesting. It's such a at this stage of your life to have. Now, when did you launch M Design, did you say? Okay, so it's going
2015.
on 9 years.
Yeah.
And your role now? Are you the head CEO? Like, what does your world look like now, and what involvement do you
Yeah,
carry?
yeah, no, I'm the CEO, but I'm a
You
pretty
are.
hands-on CEO, but not to the point where I'm in the weeds. I mean, I have
Mm,
an amazing team that cares, and they're just wonderful. And you know, I
yeah.
empower them. I really empower them because, if not, then you will have a team that's not really happy and they will
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
elsewhere.
Right.
So no, the
And
team is
nothing will get done.
no, no. And so, but I am involved, and I really love every moment of it, and I love my team, and they certainly they certainly feel the same about the company in general.
That's awesome. You know what? That's also not to be underestimated. To
No.
build a team that is collaborative and happy, and everybody is like, supporting and cheering each other on. It's not an easy thing to do, especially at the size company that you have.
And I must tell you, what was really very nice is that we are voted probably one of the top places to work in northeastern Ohio.
Oh,
So
whoa.
that in itself made me very proud.
Oh, that is an accomplishment. Congratulations on that.
Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you.
So tell me a little bit about, like, what is the day or the week or the rhythm of your work as a CEO of a company this large? I mean, all of us are CEOs. I'm a CEO, but I'm not a CEO of MDesign, for crying out loud. And so, is it, at that level, is it I have Monday morning meetings with the C-suite team, and then I have Tuesday this,
Right,
and like I don't have to make decisions, or like every day something smacks you in your face that they're like, "Hey, sit down, Susan, we need your input on this." Like, what is
right.
that involvement and rhythm like?
Right, right. Good question. Well, right now we're speaking from our headquarters, and what we do have, well, we have a lot of remote employees, and this is something that I encourage a lot.
Mm,
And then we can get into that a little bit. But everybody is now in the office now. So there are over 100 people in the office right now from all over the country. And it's wonderful because we're all together. And but for the most part, when we are remote, which is most of the time, I meet with the executives, the senior executives, and of course there are a lot of people that report to each individual one. So I speak to every department head on a one-to-one touch base each week,
whoa.
and we basically discuss what's going on in the department, how are the people, what issues are you having, how can I help you. Um, it's all about consistency,
Hmm.
making sure that each department head is heard, and whatever problems that they have, we solve, and then we move on and we pivot. We're a bit of a startup as far as our culture goes. We started really as a digitally native brand,
Mm,
so it's got this kind of like if you've seen the offices, which you haven't, but it's like a little Google in the Midwest.
mm.
So it has a very startup mentality, and we get some wonderful people, and that is why we are remote too. We do have lovely, very, very talented people in the area, but we have opened up our job pool. That we have people from all over the country, and let me tell you, it's wonderful. It really is. We have some incredible talent.
You get the best talent with no borders,
Yes.
right?
Yes, absolutely. So, the week is always touching base with everybody, but then there are just, drama that you have to deal with every day in a business that you really don't recognize at the beginning of the week, and then all of a sudden you have a crisis. But, like every business, no matter what size, you learn how to solve, and you pivot, and you continue.
Mm, love that. Solve, pivot, continue.
That's
I
it.
love it. And just don't mind me being way in the weeds with this, because I think it's
No,
so
not at all.
interesting. So when we're having a one-to-one with each department head, is that
Mhm.
3 department heads, 10 department heads? And is it like my standing, is it like Sue is my department head of XYZ and it's standing every Tuesday at 10 a.m. and Sally is at 11 a.m. and Bill is at 2 p.m.? Is it that kind of structure, Susan? Or you're like, no, LuAnn, I can't work in that kind of structure because there's too many other things that cause or need my attention. So there has to be flexibility. Like, I feel like
Well,
CEOs do two different ways, one or the other.
well, no, there's always flexibility there, but there is a touch base that we have scheduled every week. Now, I am pulled into a lot of different meetings, and a lot of the things that I would discuss with them on the touch base is discussed in those meetings.
Gotcha.
So I am not going to sit down with that same department head and take an hour of their time, because their time is worth a lot, and I want to make sure that they're productive. So sitting down with me for another hour when we've already solved the problems or talked about what we were going to talk about,
It's not meetings
really
for the sake of meetings.
No, and I'll give them back. I will gladly give them back their time. So that's it, but it's also being it's being considerate of their time. And like I said, I am pulled into a lot of meetings. So I'm involved. I'm a hands-on CEO, but again, not to the point that I'm not letting the team feel empowered.
Right.
That's crucial in any business. Someone has to feel like they have the ability to run their department and to be a mentor to the people who work underneath them as well. So we're all on the same page with regards to teaching and empowering people.
Do you recall that being a sort of like something that, of course, it gets perfected over time and experience, but was it a natural inclination to begin with, or was it a conscious, even if it was natural, was there a conscious learning and applying to, hey, this is the difference between empowering and letting go? And it gets a tough thing. Like when you empower too much and you let go too much, then you find that there's no direction, and maybe they weren't ready for that, and then you have to regroup. Or like, what's your experience on learning to be that effective leader?
Yeah, that's a good question. There is an old line that was, well, give somebody enough rope to hang themselves. That's kind of silly too, because you don't want someone to fail,
right,
and you don't want to set up anybody to fail,
right?
But
they have to try enough to figure out how to do things on their own. It's almost like when your toddler walks. It's like you kind of hold their hand and then you kind of don't.
Right.
But it's different when it's a grown adult across the room and there's millions of dollars on the line.
No, correct. But it's you want to make sure that you're there to support somebody. See, what I tell somebody, I feel that someone's biggest weakness is not telling me that they need help.
Okay.
So if I give somebody a project to do, and there's a deadline, I want them to feel comfortable and confident enough in their own abilities to say, Susan, you've given me a deadline and I can't do it. That's okay. I'd rather hear that. Why can't you do that? Well, I'm short. I don't really have enough people on my staff right now. And I think that maybe we should sit down and talk about maybe hiring somebody else, or let's level set on the expectations. I so appreciate that, because what somebody is doing is they're saying that I'm looking at the project you're giving me, and I'm telling you that I can't get it done on the present circumstances that are around me. That to me is the mark of a leader. If someone doesn't do that, if someone just keeps quiet and then is not able to finish on a deadline and does not give a project it's what I expect is 100%, that's a weakness.
Right.
Come to me and tell me you need help. I will be there. I'll be the first person to support you. First person to support you, because I want you to win.
Right. Yes, because and it's creating an environment that the people that work with and for you understand that that's the priority. The priority is that the work is done to the best of our abilities, and whatever impedes that priority can be discussed, right? It can be discussed, it can be
Correct.
negotiated, it can be mitigated, it can be leveraged, it can be anything. But what it can't be is
Absolutely.
ignored, right?
Correct. And I think that a lot of times, you know, maybe an executive may feel a little, oh my God, I shouldn't say anything. I need to get this done. I'll look weak if I can't do it. In my organization, I'd rather you come in and talk to me and say, "Are you kidding, Susan? I can't get
Mm,
this done." You know, and I'll say, "Yeah, okay, fine, no problem.
mhm,
Let's work it out together. Let's see what we can do to make sure that you're able to do the best job that you can, and I will be there to help and
mhm.
support you."
And I'm thinking about all of the designers listening that are project leads, that are senior designers, that are junior designers for the companies that they work for. And it translates to that as well. It's like
Yes,
what you're saying here is you're not saying, it's okay to come and say, I can't do this and I don't know why, or I can't do it because, I'm throwing my hands in the air. It's
right,
okay to come to your senior, your owner, your CEO, and say there is, like you said, there's circumstances that are in place here that I'm not going to be able to, in my estimation, meet your criteria and your deadline.
correct,
And these
correct,
are the things, right? Because if I just say it can't be done, it's sort of like, okay, like, yes, it can, right? And so it's that thoughtful, like you said, that's the sign of a leader, or in the case of designers, young designers listening, an emerging leader, somebody that
correct.
comes with, like I call it, yeah, but girls. Like, don't be a yeah, but girl, right? Don't like, oh yeah, but. It's like, no, yes, and yes, yes,
Yes,
and
I like that, LuAnn. I like that, and you're absolutely
right?
right. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you don't want someone to come and say, "Well, I just can't do this," and that's all there is
Right.
to it. Well, of course, that's
Yeah,
not good.
or I
But
have a wedding this weekend, so I can't work, like I have a wedding on Thursday. Like, no, like we
no,
can figure it out.
no. Well, yeah, right, right, right. So it's a combination of all of
Yes.
this, that leads to that empowerment, and then you know. I hate to say my door is always open because now we're
Yeah.
virtual. So, or, so,
And be careful.
but
There's a couple of, dozen thousands listening.
right, right. This is true. But, I'm approachable, and I think that anybody who is a CEO or you own your own company, you need to be approachable. And if people feel like they want to back away when they're around you, that's not good. Anybody can walk into my office at any time when I'm in the
Mm,
office. Anybody can walk in, I got a great idea. This has been on my mind. That's been on my mind. I am one of the team. And I think when you remove yourself from that, and a lot of CEOs are on a different floor, I am in the thick of things with regards to, walking in on a meeting and feel like I'm part of the team. I want them to feel that I am part of their team.
right. I love it. I just it's great CEO goals. That's what I'm saying.
Well, it's working here.
That's
It's
great.
working
That's
here.
awesome. So, for designers that want to check out this beautiful product line that you have, they go to mdesignhomedecor.com. And of course, we will put that
Correct.
in the show notes. And if you are a professional organizer as part of your design ladder services, or like Susan mentioned, you might want to start a division. I thought it was so funny because we're like, oh, add a service. And you're like, add a division. Like, that's how our brain clicks. It's
Right.
a
Oh, that
division.
is, that is, that is. But we know we can scale our businesses, everybody out there. We can do
That's right.
this.
That's right. I just thought it so funny when you said that a few moments ago.
I
Oh,
know.
I love it.
My
Yep,
DNA.
yep, that's it. You think big, and that's what's exciting and inspiring. And I appreciate your spending your time talking with us today.
Oh, God, my pleasure. It's been wonderful, LuAnn. Thank you so much.
Of course, I could have talked to Susan for days and days and still had more questions. It is clear that Susan owns her status as an incredible business owner. And maybe there was this tiny little moment of nonchalance about her success, but you know what? Her strengths are so apparent, and we can see that she does recognize and she knows how hard she has worked for that success. Her story is full of lessons for all of us. Let's first consider the way she got started. She might view it in part as luck, but luck, landing that initial funding from the bank, it really is more because she had the guts to go after it to begin with. Right? She didn't focus on the possibility of rejection or failure. She didn't talk herself out of success. She didn't let fear hold her back. She put herself in that room. She advocated for herself, and she presented herself in such a way that they saw that special something in her. She was, like I always say, she was prepared to be lucky. She did everything in her control to set herself up for success. Right? So we don't say that luck doesn't have anything to do with it. But what we do say is when you do all the back work, when you operate like Susan does, the luck happens in one moment or another moment. It doesn't matter. That's the point. You're prepared for when it happens. Right? Another lesson that Susan emphasized is this idea that you never know where your next project, collaboration, or opportunity might come from. That you always have to be cultivating relationships, connecting with people, doing things for people, and creating this orbit around you to bring people in. Things like joining your local community organizations, like joining IDS or ASID or whatever it is, right? The WCAA, okay? You can just never know who is going to be the person that will bring the next big thing or idea your way. But when you are committed to connecting with good people, surrounding yourself with people that you respect and admire, and then you commit to presenting yourself as a business owner and providing value in conversations with these people, opportunities all of a suddenly appear. Again, prepared to be lucky, right? Another big takeaway that I want to address is Susan's entire CEO persona. I mean, really? Did you feel that coming through? She has it down. So many business owners struggle with being that CEO. We either want to control everything for far too long, or we fear delegating it, or we just don't create the systems and processes that free up our time so that we can hire, right? And that we can become intentional about the things that we're doing. And we also have to be willing to establish our company culture, okay? These are the CEO activities. And it's a fine line, but it's clear that Susan walks that line very well. She's hands-on and involved, but she is committed to creating a culture of empowerment in her company that makes her employees want to take ownership, to communicate honestly, and to carry out the company mission without her having to do everything. This is not easy to do. It just isn't, okay? It takes deliberate intention, working on yourself. It takes strategy. It takes work and putting in the time to create the smart business practices. But it is something that you can do, and you can aspire to do it, right? I love the inspiration from Susan. Thank you. Thank you, Susan, so much for such a good conversation. And thank you for joining both Susan and I today. I appreciate you. Decide to be excellent. Thank you for joining me today. This podcast is a production of LuAnn Niagara, Inc. If you want to know more about me, my books, or LuAnn University, go to LuAnnNiagara.com. And if you are interested in having WindowWorks help you with your next window treatment or awning project in the New York, New Jersey metro area, go to WindowWorksNJ.com to learn more. Have an excellent day.